behind schedule. Hopefully, we shall be able to catch up. I would like to officially start. The fact that some of us are still munching on our breakfast, but well, I'll require us to multitask. It might be a bit tricky for you considering we shall be starting with the anthems. And as such, I'd like to give you a heads up to get ready to get onto your feet as we start. But welcome to the inaugural launch of the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda. And the theme is very clear up there: promoting insurance literacy and building financial resilience for inclusive growth. So without further ado, I'm going to ask us to get to our feet, if you don't mind. And let's be upstanding for the anthems. Standing, as is our culture, to acknowledge a higher power. Allow me to invite Shamim, Shakira, just to come and give us an official opening word of prayer. Shamim.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Let's pray. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we thank you for this morning. We thank you for this wonderful day. We thank you for we are all here, alive, in good health. We don't take that for granted. We pray, Lord, that even as we are going to deliberate on matters concerning our industry, that your spirit may prevail and whatever we discuss advances our industry to the next level. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, we do believe and pray.
All right, if I can beg your indulgence one last time, we are gathered here, different industry players, and I'll ask the DJ just to give me some music interlude. My philosophy is a healthy human being needs how many compliments a day? Who remembers? 7 compliments a day. So it's going to play me some music. I'm giving you 2 minutes to just move around, greet someone, find someone of the industry, someone you haven't said hello to, give them a compliment, and let's get the right energy levels in the room before we get started. So Mr. DJ, give me some music, and it behooves you to at least move from your table and greet at least 1 or 2 people from another table. I thank you. Come on. Yeah. From the moment give them a compliment. From the moment I will praise you, oh Lord. That's for Jesus. Once you've talked to at least 4 or 5 people, you can take your seat.
Blessings follow me. Your goodness and mercy too. They will follow me all of my days. When I'm bankole David unjina, I'm bankole David unjina, tanga banyo. Bankole David unjina, yeminyo lentia. Dance for Jesus.
All right. Thank you, Mr. DJ. You may be seated. Thank you very much. Clearly, some people are starved of compliments, and I can see at the back. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, you are all absolutely welcome to this official launch of Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda. And you're, of course, going to be hearing about this even as we move on. If we can just give a round of applause to some of the partners that have enabled us to be here today. Let's hear it for Africa Reinsurance Corporation. Thank you so much. IRA, of course. Let's also hear it for Uganda Insurance Association, Insurance Association as well. Present with us here in the room, we have industry CEOs, and I can see quite a few of them. Maybe I'll just indulge them to be upstanding so that we can just give them a warm welcome. Some of the CEOs present, you're welcome to just get to your feet so that we can acknowledge your presence. Ovugalo. Your presence here is not taken lightly. Thank you so much. Of course, we have operations staff reps who are present here from the different insurance companies. We have members of the academia. We have Ministry Development Agency representatives who are here. Development partners like FSD, ABI, UNDP, to mention but a few. We have business associations. I don't know if Casita and a few of the others are represented here as well. We have our panelists and experts who are everything financial inclusion, and we'll be hearing from them in a bit. And in our midst are also some of the respondents who were interviewed when this agenda was being put together. Without further ado, before I get ready to invite our very first speaker, allow me just acknowledge, because there was a technical working committee that enabled what we're going to be witnessing here to come to fruition. And there were 2 chief consultants. We have Reeve Consults, and I don't know if we have representatives of Reeve Consults here. If you could just stand up so we can acknowledge the wonderful work that you have done. Thank you so much. We also have Fireworks. Fireworks, I'm sure we have Fireworks Advertising Agency, and I can see some of the representatives are here. The different consultants who actually took part will be mentioned by someone more worthy or in a better position than myself. Well, without further ado, if you have copies of the program, my name is Ronnie Habasa, honored to be your MC this morning. But we'd like to officially have the welcome remarks from the chairperson, Uganda Insurers Association, and he will be represented by Mr. Paul Mwanga, who is the vice chair. And so I'll ask us to put our hands together. He also doubles, of course, as the CEO, Excel Insurance. DJ, if you could just usher him here with a song. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Mr. Mwanga as he comes to officially give us the welcome remarks for this event. Thank you.
Our regulator, our partner, Africa Re, beg your pardon, representatives from the different ministries, agencies and departments, development partners, the private sector, and all the stakeholders who continue to stand with us in shaping the future of Uganda's insurance industry. Good morning. The insurance literacy and market development agenda is a collective effort. The insurance industry, under the guidance of our regulator, has always looked forward to a more inclusive, trusted, and accessible sector. Now, with the support of Africa Reinsurance Foundation, we are looking to seeing this become a reality. And please join me to thank the Africa Reinsurance Foundation for their support. Thank you. As an industry, we've had a technical working committee who have worked tirelessly to ensure that this happens. We would also like to recognize the contribution of Reeve Consults and Fireworks Advertising, as has already been mentioned, who have ably guided us in the process and helped us to put together a document that is not only technical, it is also practical in our view. This agenda is not just a strategy like we have in our organizations. It is a call to action. Our goal is to simplify insurance concepts, improve public confidence, expand access, and in the end, we hope that our contribution to economic growth as a sector will also increase. As we launch this agenda today, let us remember that its success will depend on the partnerships we build, the trust that we nurture, and the collective commitment that we bring to its implementation. With those remarks, I would want to thank you and welcome you all to today's launch. Thank you.
Members, I believe we can do a bit better than that with a better round of applause. Thank you so much. And in as far as our program is concerned, if you can look at your tables, the little red cards have a QR code for you there. You can simply scan that and you'll be able to follow with the agenda. So we're trying to go as paperless as possible. Well, it's printed on paper, a bit inevitable, but please scan. The Wi-Fi password is UIA24. So just look for Miss Still Guest, and you can utilize that Wi-Fi. And as far as our program is concerned, right now we'd like to have remarks from the Africa Re Foundation. And here in our midst is the Regional Director, Nairobi Regional Office, Africa Reassurance Corporation. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Dr. Focus Nyandwi as he comes to speak on behalf of Africa Re Foundation. Mr. DJ, and a rousing hand of applause even as he makes his way here. Dr. Focus, you're welcome.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, duly represented. The CEO of IRA, Al-Haj, Dr. Kadunabi Ibrahim Lubega. The chairperson of the Uganda Insurance Association, duly represented by the vice person, the vice chairperson, the CEO of the Uganda Insurance Association, CEOs of insurance and reinsurance companies, representatives of different ministries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Good morning. It is an honor to be here on behalf of the Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the African Reinsurance Corporation, Africa Re, for the launch of the five-year insurance literacy and market development agenda. The protection gap in Africa is still huge, with an average insurance penetration of around 1% if you exclude South Africa, against the world's average of around 7%. Of course, when you include South Africa, it comes to around 3%. What it means, this leaves many lives and livelihoods unprotected amidst increasing exposures, be it from natural catastrophes or other accidents. We cannot say that we failed on our mission, and we should also not compare ourselves with the other sectors like the banking sector or the telecommunication sector, because we sell a different product which is intangible, but we still have a long way and there's room for improvement. Despite considerable growth by the Ugandan insurance industry over the last decade, the journey to unlocking insurance penetration and deepening is still long. While several sectors contribute to this state of facts, insurance literacy is, with no doubt, one of the most important factors. Increasing insurance literacy would not only attract more clients to purchase insurance, but also improve the image of the insurance industry towards the public, which is part of the reasons why the penetration is still low. Africa Re was founded with a clear mission to foster the development of insurance and reinsurance industry in Africa, to promote the growth of national, regional, and sub-regional underwriting capacities, and to support the African economic development. Within its efforts to fulfill its mandate and reduce the protection gap, the corporation, through Africa Re Foundation, promotes impactful initiatives across Africa to build stronger and more resilient insurance markets. Uganda is one of our top markets in Africa in terms of not only the premium income we receive as Africa Re, but also in terms of the actual support enjoyed over the years, and was included in the countries to benefit from this initiative from Africa Re Foundation. We are delighted today to see the progress made so far, and it gives us a great pleasure to join you on behalf of Africa Re for the launch of the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda. This initiative is timely, bold, and necessary as it addresses the barriers of knowledge gaps that lead to mistrust and low uptake of insurance. This initiative is fully aligned with Africa Re mission, and we look forward to a changing insurance landscape in Uganda and a more impactful contribution of the insurance sector to the overall development of the economy. Together with increasing insurance literacy, we must, of course, come up with the right insurance products and the right distribution channels suited to all segments of the population, and fulfill our promises by promptly paying claims. Together, we can build an insurance sector that is inclusive, trusted, and transformative for the people of Uganda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doctor. That was on behalf of Africa Re. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to get ready to ask you to put your hands together for yet another doctor, a very, very important doctor who I'm going to be letting you know about in just a bit. But in the meantime, allow me also, on behalf of our chief guest, who is not here but is well represented, I'll ask us to put our hands together for Mr. Kagwa Moses, who is present with us here. I think he's the Director, Economic Affairs, Finance Ministry. And, well, I'll not ask him to stand, but let's just clap for him one more time. Present now in the capacity of our chief guest. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, we're going to get ready to hear remarks from our chief convener, as it were. And I'll ask us to put our hands together for Al-Hajj Dr. And I'll say that again, Al-Hajj Dr. Kadunabi Ibrahim Lubega, as he just comes to set context to the day and give us his remarks. So why don't you celebrate him as he comes here with a round of applause. Al-Hajj Doctor, you are welcome, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, according to what Jonan was briefing me, he told me that everybody has been served breakfast. But what is coming from you is the opposite. Can we have some energies in the room? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At least we have to confirm that everybody got breakfast. Can we, before I begin, put our hands together, welcoming the guest of honor, Mr. Ramadan Govi, the Permanent Secretary to the Treasury Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, here represented by our own Haj Moses Kagwa, the Director of Economic Affairs. Can we put our hands together? Our guest of honor, the Regional Director of Africa RE, Nairobi office, the Chairperson of Uganda Insurers Association, CEO of the Principal Insurance Training College, leaders and stakeholders from the insurance industry, representatives from other sister agencies and government and regulatory bodies, development partners, ladies and gentlemen. May I take this opportunity to welcome you to this official launch of the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda under the inspiring theme of insurance for all, promoting insurance literacy and building financial resilience for insurance growth. Today's theme is well aligned to the third National Development Plan, NDP3, and Uganda's commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals. Financial resilience means that households can bounce back from shocks, and small businesses can survive a fire or a theft. It also means that our children can stay in school even when the breadwinner is lost. So today marks indeed a significant milestone in our continued journey towards a resilient, inclusive, and robust insurance sector in Uganda. Insurance sector which is intended to serve all Ugandans regardless of their income status, their location, and their social status. Insurance, as we may all know, is a pillar in any country's financial system. It cushions against the unforeseen shocks. It also enables individuals, families, and businesses to thrive confidently. We must also know that insurance, despite the evident benefits, the insurance uptake in Uganda has remained indeed below the desired targets. One of the most critical barriers has continued to be the low insurance literacy. Many Ugandans either do not understand how insurance works or they mistrust its mechanism. myths and misconceptions and lack of clear information have kept millions of Ugandans outside the safety net that insurance can provide. This is the very reason why insurance literacy is not just a strategy, but it is indeed a necessity. Through this insurance literacy and market development agenda, we aim to bridge the knowledge gap. We intend to build trust, and we intend to empower Ugandans with information they need to make informed decisions about their financial future. Therefore, this agenda is a very strategic tool to drive inclusion, resilience, by putting people under the center, under the regulatory and development efforts of government of Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are proud to be here at the launch of the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda, which is a bold, collaborative and framework which is intended to, among others, achieve the following. 1, it intends to enhance the awareness and public confidence in insurance. 2, it intends to promote consumer education and protection. 3, it will encourage innovation and product relevancy. 4, it will strengthen partnership among the regulators, insurers, and development actors. And 5, it intends to expand access to insurance in the underserved and unserved regions, including the rural and the informal sectors. This agenda, therefore, is not a standalone document. It must be aligned to the integrated parts of our broader vision. And as the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda, we do look forward to a vibrant, a trusted, and more inclusive insurance sector that contributes to the meaningful development of the Uganda's socio-economic transformation. The success of this agenda will depend majorly on collaborative efforts. This initiative has been made possible through a strong partnership, and I want to thank our collaborators most sincerely. Africa Reinsurance Corporation, can we give them a round of applause for making this happen? As we know, their continental perspective and the commitment to building capacity throughout Africa has been instrumental to making this happen. Can we also give another round of applause to Uganda Insurers Association? Because their coordination across member companies and their on-ground presence has ensured that we reach the people who matter most. To this end, the users of the products and the efforts which are in this agenda, we need to make sure that we all put our efforts on it. Together, we are stronger, and together, we can change the narrative of Uganda's insurance landscape. As the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda, may I take this opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to having a vibrant, inclusive, and well-regulated insurance market. but we cannot do it alone. Therefore, call to all over, to each one of you, to ensure that you do your part. Insurers, please continue to do innovations and simplify the products which we put on the market. The media, please help us demystify insurance in languages and formats which people understand. And the community leaders, we ask you to act as ambassadors of insurance wherever you go. To the development partners, please partner with us to support and amplify the efforts, partly which are here, and even other new innovations which are intended to ensure that insurance is better understood. May I just remind you of what you already know. According to the International Association of Insurance Supervisors, IAIS, it was stated, and I just want to re-emphasize it to you because you know it, that people don't buy insurance. People don't buy what they don't understand. People don't buy what they don't understand. Insurance application is therefore not an option. It is essential. Ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, this launch is not an end, but it is a bold beginning. It is a beginning of a journey towards an insurance market that works for everyone, from a farmer in Mbale to a border rider in Kampala and to a small business owner in Gulu. Let us all walk the journey together, informed, inspired, and united in our purpose. Thank you very much for listening to me, ladies and gentlemen. May I take the singular privilege to invite our guest of honor to address us, Haji Moses Kagwa. Thank you very much.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the principal of our college, the Chief Executive Officer of Uganda Insurance Association, the leaders and captains in the insurance industry, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I want to congratulate the Uganda Insurance Regulatory Authority, the Uganda Insurance Association, and all partners in this important milestone. Today, we gather to discuss a critical aspect of our nation's economic development. That's financial literacy, with specific focus on insurance. I will start by putting this in the context, and then we'll move. We are at a time in Uganda where we are taking off. You had the minister one time when he was saying that the economy is, so it's the right time. Why is it the right time? Because last financial year, our GDP was 61,312,000,000. That is about 344 billion Uganda shillings. The economy grew by 6.3%. Inflation last year was down. It was 3.4%. The exchange rate was stable. And our shilling was one of the most stable currencies in the world last year. And this is a very good context for insurance. So the economies are actually growing. Next year, we also anticipate that exchange rate will remain stable. As you can see this year, year to year, the shilling has gained against the dollar by 4.4%. And this is something we hadn't experienced in a long time, the shilling being very strong against the dollar. We have had our poverty reducing because of a number of government interventions to 16.1%. So that's why I'm saying that the numbers for insurers of the economy are good. We expect that next financial year, our GDP would rise to $68 billion, 448 million. That is about 251 billion, 802. Trillion 802 billion. And we expect to be very stable during all this time. And what does all this mean? Is that government is putting up the right policies to try and attract investments in this country and also make sure that the economy grows. So the size of the economy is growing bigger. And this is all anchored on the National Development Plan 4, which we're implementing now, and the tenfold growth strategy. This is the blueprint for rapidly accelerating the expansion of our economy in a transformative and efficient and sustainable manner. So, the tenfold growth strategy is anchored on 4 key sectors. That is agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral development, including oil and gas, and science, technology, and innovation, including ICT and the creatives. These are the anchor sectors on which the tenfold growth strategy is based, where we are going to grow our economy from where we are today at 61 billion to 500 billion by 2040. And these ATMs, because we call them ATMs, have what we call enablers. And the enablers include security, transport infrastructure, that is roads, railways, power from hydro and renewable sources, irrigation, social services, what we call human capital development, education and health, regional economic integration, environmental protection, and also the elimination of corruption. But when we look at all these, the ATMs and the enablers, one of the strong enablers is insurance. Because you cannot talk about investing 2.7 billion euros in the standard gauge railway and you have no insurance for any eventualities that may happen. We are putting 1 trillion every year in the parish development model for each parish to get 100 million shillings. And most of these people whom we are focusing on are in agriculture. And with the vagaries of agriculture, as you know, you cannot have this without insurance. In manufacturing, we are talking about agro-industrialization in this focus, but you know we must make sure that there is insurance for agriculture itself, insurance for storage, insurance for marketing, insurance for the final product that has been done. So insurance really is a core anchor in the economic development. It is the one that is provide a safety for businesses, enabling them to take calculated risks, innovate, and invest in growth. By promoting financial literacy and insurance awareness, we can empower most good faith of insurance. Our government recognizes the importance of financial literacy and is committed to improving it. Government is in the process of developing the third national financial literacy strategy that will equip Ugandans with the knowledge and skills necessary to navigate the complex financial landscape. As key shareholders, I implore you to participate in this exercise. To enhance financial literacy, it's important that we focus on 3 key areas. 1, financial education. We will develop targeted educational programs to enhance financial literacy, particularly in rural areas where access to financial services is limited. Our regulatory framework will review and refine our regulatory framework to ensure it supports the growth of the insurance industry while protecting consumers' interests. And 3, industry partnerships. We will collaborate with the insurance industry, financial institutions, and other stakeholders to promote financial literacy and increase insurance penetration. By working together, we can create a more financially literate society where insurance is recognized as a vital tool for economic development. I know the penetration of insurance is still low at 0.87%, but that doesn't mean that it can't go up. With the right products and the right messages, I think we shall be able to increase the penetration. There are so many insurance products that are developed around the world, and there was an interesting one I found, the insurance against fire. One rich gentleman decided to insure his very expensive cigars against fire. And then one day he had an urge and started smoking. So he smoked one, then he went and smoked another one. So there were about 12 and he smoked all of them. Then once he had realized that he had actually smoked them, said, where have they gone? He went and sued the insurance company. I mean, he went and claimed from the insurance company that his insured cigars had actually been burnt by fire, which was the policy he had, so he wanted to be compensated. The insurance company compensated him because they realized that their policy actually covered that. But what they did, they went to police and sued and reported him for having committed arson, that he burnt the cigars. He was, of course, arrested and imprisoned. So insurance is good, but let us not misuse it. Let us empower our citizens with the knowledge and skills necessary to navigate the financial landscape. Let us promote financial literacy and insurance awareness and unlock the potential of our economy. Insurance is at the heart of our tenfold growth strategy. With these words, I now officially launch the insurance literacy and market development agenda. Thank you for listening to me.
A bigger round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our chief guest. I'm personally learning something new about insurance every day, insuring cigars. Wow. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to actually officially launch this product today. And I'm just going to be inviting members of the high table here to join our chief guest as we get ready to officially launch. I'll ask the DJ to give us some music while the team brings the official setup. While that happens, I'll invite Alhaj Dr. Kadnabi to please come. I'll invite Dr. Focus to come as well. I'll invite Mr. Mwanga to also join us. I'll also invite the CEO UIA to just join us here as well. Well, so ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is, it's a 5-year document. So we're going to count down from 5 and the young ladies will turn that board the other side to reveal what's behind it, and that will be our dramatic launch. Are you ready to count? Are you ready to count? I need some energy in the room. Are you ready? All right, let's count down together. 5, 4, 2, 1. A round of applause for the official launch. All right, so our chief guest will be the very first to officially append his signature. And as each of them appends, I'll ask us to just clap. Alhaj Dr. Kadnabi will also do the same. Please do not attempt to copy people's signatures. Africa Re. Come on, let's clap, let's clap. Thank you, Dr. Focus. A complex signature is a representation of their bank balance. All right. Thank you so much. Does that mean you have the least bank balance, CEO? Or I'll allow you to just get closer for a group photo. For a group photo there. We'll have a few more reps coming up to append their signatures as well, because this document represents the entire industry. Aha, where are the ladies? This is a good one. Thank you very much. I'll invite Christine Kasoma to please come and append her signature as well. But in round two, I'd like to invite development partners, FSD Uganda, if you can send a rep. If there's a lady, even better. ABI, if you can also send a rep. We'll allow the second tier to also sign, but we'd like to have a group photo with everyone here, so I'll indulge you to stay a little longer. The markers are present. FSD. ABI, if we can have a representative. UNDP. UNDP. Where are the ladies at? Annette, should I just make you sign? Annette, on behalf of the ladies, since she's already up here, I don't know what her official capacity is, but she's very smart. And Mr. Guang, UDB, let's also have UDB represented. UDB, if you could please come and append your signature as well. UNCDF, UNCDF. This one I'm sure is a lady. UIBFS, if you could please come and sign. And madam, you can use the biggest space. Sign in uppercase. We also have East African Development Bank. Thank you very much, Mr. Guang. I'd like to invite Irene Kego to please come and also append her signature. Madam CEO, if you could also support us and come and do the same. Shamim, I know you said a prayer. I don't know if that qualifies you also to. Should Shamim also come? You escort Madam Irene. Wonderful. We're having all these signatures because this is representative of, it wasn't just one party that sat down to do this. Last but not least, I'd just like to invite industry association representatives to also come and append their signatures. But also Madam Christine Nasuna, MD AAR. Madam Nasuna would be honored to have you come and append your signature as well. So for the associations, Microinsurers Association of Uganda, if the chair could come, Mr. Zake. ITC. Agro Insurance Consortium, if you guys can come as well. Uganda Association of Engineers, Valuers, and Loss Assessors. Wonderful. Is Ibao already here? The Insurance Brokers Association. And the agents have already signed. Good. I know we have a big team on stage, but this is to represent the amount of input across the board that has been involved. So we shall have 2 group photos. Perhaps we're going to bring a few chairs around so that we can manage to Ah, wonderful. The picture looks better now. Initially, there was too much testosterone on the stage, but all right, everyone said cheese. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the official launch of the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda. All right, and as far as photo ops are concerned, once we are done with this one, I'll invite the members of the high table to remain behind. Mr. Lukwago, we are going to invite him in the next round, but Mr. Lukwago, even the Bible says when you come, you sit behind and you shall be elevated. Thank you, Doctor, for that elevation. All right, after this, I'll ask members of the high table to stay put as I invite another tier of people who would like to have in this group picture. And those will be the technical working committee, the representatives, the consultants from Reeve Consults, all those present, consultant from Fireworks Advertising, and our panelists today. Our panelists and the moderator for the day. Mariam, if you could just come with the panelists who you're going to have, would like them in case our chief guest leaves before. So Reeve Consult, please, Fireworks Advertising Agency, the Technical Working Committee. These guys began this work in 2024, and it's been some serious work that has been done. An investment of about 30,000 USD went into bringing all of this to fruition. So one of our chief consultants was the deputy governor himself, and he might be joining us here, Professor Augustus Nwagaba. Maybe a round of applause for him in absentia. Hopefully he joins us before close of business. Finally, last but not least, I apologize. Would like to just ask the high table to remain seated, and I'd like to invite all the industry CEOs present here today. CEOs from the insurance. I see Old Mutual, ZEPRI, CIC, AAR, all the CEOs present, please. The brokers. All CEOs present. Let's make haste. I see one or two more coming. Let's make haste. I'm happy to see a great balance in across the board with gender. Many women CEOs present. Please smile. A final round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I think that is the last photo ops we're going to have for the launch of the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda. Thank you so much. I'll allow our ushers to support me with removing the chairs. And we'd like also to have the plaque remain somewhere on the stage. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to know that we're moving quite well in as far as our time is concerned, slightly ahead of the curve, actually, and we intend to maintain that momentum. At this point in time, without further ado, I'll ask us to put our hands together for the CEO UIA, Mr. Jonan Chisache, as he comes to give us his presentation in as far as this particular launch is concerned. So DJ, some music for him, and let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies. I think it must have been sometime this week, either Monday or Tuesday. I think it was Monday. I was informed that they are no longer called MCs, but they are program flow consultants. So thank you very much, Mr. Consultant. Our chief guest, the Director, Economic Affairs representing the PSST, Alhaji Doctor. You know, these days we have got to ensure that we present the credentials as they are. So Alhaji Doctor, Dr. Focus from Africa Re, our CEOs here, Chairperson, UIA, represented by the Vice Chairperson, and all the dignitaries in the room. I want to request that I stand on the already laid out protocol by the different speakers. Mine is a simple task, really. Number one, to welcome you to this momentous occasion. I must emphasize that we started this journey at the tail end of 2023. So for us to be where we are, and I remember very well, it was a weekend when we sat at Serena Hotel with a team from Africa Re and agreed that there was a need for an intervention within the sector, specifically speaking to the challenges of literacy. I am happy that that meeting, of course, which was attended by David here and myself, has now resulted into what we see here today in terms of the launch of this agenda. I thought that I would start by reading a comment from the report in terms of the results that we were able to collect from the different respondents who participated in this exercise and therefore resulted into what we are presenting here today. So one of the respondents from Hoima, and this happened on 2nd of November 2024 during the field work, he mentioned that for the last 4 years, and I will quote as it is here, for the last 4 years, I have been paying insurance premium for my car without fail. And for the 4 years, nothing has happened to warrant an insurance claim. What bothers me is that I'm expected to pay more next year. When I inquired whether they cannot consider that I've been paying for 4 years and have not made a claim, they were negative and insisted that I have to pay every year. Now I'm considering stopping the whole thing because I'm losing a lot of money. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the customers that we have to deal with. These are their perceptions. This is their thinking. And I think at the end of the day, it speaks to the intervention that we are here to launch today. So I want to give you a high-level presentation, a brief summary of the insurance literacy and market development agenda. And that is the flow that I will be following. But before I even begin, I must first of all recognize Africa Re Foundation and the seed grant that they gave us of $30,000 to be able to come up with this industry collaborative agenda. And I think they deserve a round of applause. I also must acknowledge in the room the presence of our consultants. This journey would not have been possible without the consultants that we selected through a competitive process. And I think Africa Re can attest to this because we've been furnishing them with reports regarding every step that we've taken in terms of ensuring that we account for the funds that we've received. We have Riv Consult in the house. It's a firm offering solutions in the public and private space. I think Riv Consult is a household name. The famous deputy governor today, at the point at which we started this journey, he was simply a consultant with Riv Consult. So I know we have Mr. Charles Rangoga in the house, but also we expect that Professor will be joining us a little later on. We have Fireworks in the room, and we have Mr. Walter Wafula, their group CEO. We have Raymond Magumba and Mr. John Nkore. They should be here representing Fireworks. Maybe they've stepped out a bit, but Fireworks is an advertising firm that we brought on board to be able to complement the works of Riv Consult. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may have heard, because it's an industry collaborative document, and you'll move to the next slide where we have the partners, we had to come up with a technical working committee for purposes of buying and for purposes of ensuring that all the stakeholders within the insurance space, okay. So you need to take me through the drill. Yes. Okay. we had to ensure that every stakeholder within the industry participated in developing this agenda, because at the end of it all, the expectation is that, indeed, at the implementation phase, we'll again walk this journey together. I want to introduce the representative of the Insurance Regulatory Authority on the Technical Working Committee, Madam Mariam Nalunkuma. Please stand. From Africa, we have Mr. David Tumhaise. From ITC, we had the academic registrar, Mr. Sulaiman Dumba. From AIC, we had Innocent. Innocent, I think, is in the house. From the Microinsurance Association, Madam Christine Kasoma. From the Loss Assessors, we had Mr. Abubakar Katende. Mr. Tugume Moses represented the insurance agents. Madam Rita Mutesi Kabaiza represented the Insurance Brokers Association. Ladies and gentlemen, the project was coordinated at the UIA by Annette Katusime, project coordinator, and the Technical Working Committee had Angela Kemigisa as our secretary. She's the research officer at the UIA. I had the privilege of being the chairperson of the Technical Working Committee, and I want to state that as I go into the details of the presentation, all the good things that you see here today, all the good things that I'll speak about are because of that Technical Working Committee. So where I go wrong and error, I want to take full responsibility. That will be my own making. Ladies and gentlemen, what informed the insurance literacy and market development agenda? And I strongly believe that before you is a QR code, which QR code should give you access to that document, so that then you can follow as I give you the high-level summary and presentation of this agenda. As you may be aware, financial inclusion, according to FinScope, stands at 81%. And this is an equivalent of about 20 million adults. Now, this inclusion is mainly driven by mobile money. If you look at commercial banks, they contribute about 14%. Insurance contributes about 2%, ladies and gentlemen, to that inclusion. Now, it means that according to that FinScope report, 19% are excluded. If you look at the IRA report, and it was released, and I might be wrong, and the director is here probably last week or the week before that, the number of Ugandans with insurance policies currently stands at 600,000. If you add the corporate policies, which are about 120,000, you come to a number of about 720,000 policies. 600,000 individuals. If you look at insurance penetration, and I think Alhaji has spoken to that, currently at 0.87%. And again, this number is from the Insurance Regulatory Authority report of 2024. But this does not mean that the insurance industry has not grown, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at the year 2005, I think our combined premium as an industry in that year, and that year is very close to my heart because it's the year I joined the insurance industry. So these figures I understand very well. The combined GWP for the industry that year, Alhaji, was 90 billion. And the penetration was about 0.5% or thereabout. In the report you released 19 years later, last year, we are at about 1.8 trillion, and we are contributing about 0.87%. So the industry, in all honesty, has grown, if you look at the statistics that way. But what informed the agenda? The lack of insurance information is a barrier to uptake. And this, again, was from a study that the UIA conducted, where we had uptake at about 42%. But overall, we realized that there is limited knowledge and understanding of insurance, and I think every speaker has been able to allude to that. So there was need, therefore, to have an agreed strategy as an industry, to have a concerted effort, because at the end of the day, we seem to be doing so much, but probably working in silos. If you look at our media spend, ladies and gentlemen, in 2024, the financial sector spent about 6.4 billion in engaging the media or using the media to disseminate information about the financial services, including banks. If you look at these statistics, you will see that radio takes the biggest share of 69%, TV at 25%, and print at 6%. If you bring that home in the insurance space, and again, I'll be referring to the IRA report for 2024 because it's the latest information that we have that has been approved. In fact, I think Alhaji, the first document you approved is the IRA market report of 2024. And I think now the next document we have to refer to, which you've just launched this morning, is the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda. So you'll allow me to refer to those in my presentation. So according to IRA, the media spend for the players for 2024 was about 3.6 billion. And I want you to make a mark and write that figure somewhere, 3.6 billion, because when I get into the later stages of the presentation, I will be referring to that figure in terms of what we have here as the proposed budget and see how best we can be able to support the growth of insurance. But what were the objectives of the agenda? I think for me, critical to the agenda is the fact that we needed to simplify knowledge and understanding of insurance. Insurance is looked at as highly complex, very complicated. There was a need to demystify, but also a need to empower the public. And we don't want to empower the public simply to buy, but empower them with information that would support in making an informed decision at the point at which either they are interfacing with insurance or they would want to access insurance services. So the objectives were very clear. And when we sat with the Technical Working Committee, we wanted to improve the public's knowledge and understanding of insurance, increase the number of Ugandans accessing insurance-related information, but also we wanted to increase the insurance sector's contribution to our economic growth. And I think that is music to the ears of the Minister of Finance. Ladies and gentlemen, I mentioned that the industry is growing. And the timekeeper is alluding to certain facts, which I must add here too. When you look at the contribution of the industry, from the total tax contribution study we held or undertook with PwC for 2020 to 2021, we realized that over 530 billion in taxes were paid. We were contributing about 1.4% to total government receipts. About 250 billion had been invested in government securities, and about 120 billion in that period had been invested in listed entities on the Uganda Securities Exchange. That is the contribution we would want to see. So how do we ensure that insurance is well positioned to contribute to economic growth? And I think the guest of honor alluded to the ATMs or the ATMs, and insurance is a key enabler within the ATMs model. So how have we been able to develop this agenda? What was the process? The process included a public survey. And again, within this survey, we were checking attitude, knowledge and understanding of insurance, consumption patterns, any pain points, how does informal insurance play in this space? Because believe it or not, much as we have formal insurance, lots of the members of the public are accessing what we might call informal insurance. So how do those relate to the workings of insurance, and to the workings of the formal insurance? We disseminated these findings, but we also engaged stakeholders and had consultations with them. From this, we were then able to come up with a comprehensive document that would resonate with the findings. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I must put a disclaimer that a lot of things that I'm talking about, especially from the survey, are things that we almost already knew as the insurance industry. But I think the purpose was for us to have a concerted effort in ensuring that then we tackle them as an industry and be very deliberate in terms of how we'll be able to solve those. The output, like I mentioned, was the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda. And that document you've been able to scan has a clear implementation plan. It has a communication plan, which includes a digital strategy, but also there is a monitoring and evaluation framework to ensure that we remain up to speed. What were some of the recommendations and results from the baseline? Very, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at knowledge, we realized that 21% of the individuals we engaged with had knowledge about insurance, but only 19.5% actually had a policy of insurance. That is the uptake aspect. On the side of businesses, 23% had knowledge. Surprisingly, uptake was higher at about 32%. But the barriers in all this remained very consistent. Lack of awareness, high premiums charged, limited access, complex claims process. The agenda looks at the challenges, but also comes up with interventions. And of course, we speak to the complexity of our products, the claims process, and there is also that narrative that insurance is for the rich, which I think is a wrong one. But we also realize that the sources of information for the respondents that we engaged with were mainly the traditional media, but also agents were playing a critical role, but English dominated the mode of communication. If you look at product-wise, health and life, again, were leading products. The key recommendations we picked from these, the public wants us to split these premiums into affordable chunks. They want us to address issues of bureaucracy, especially when it comes to the claims process. They want us to partner with financial institutions, and Alhaji has already cleared the bank assurance regulations. We're already partnering, and I think they're contributing about 10%, almost 50% of what the brokers are able to bring in. There's a need to build trust through intensive sensitization, have diverse channels, lobby government, and as you've seen today, we've had the Ministry of Finance and also the development partners in the House. Quickly, as I go through, we also had a stakeholder engagement and analysis. We engaged a number of stakeholders, and they are categorized that way. Of course, there were political leaders. And our expectation was that how do we engage with those who have a very high influence on the sector? Because we went out into the field, collected information, engaged with individuals, engaged with small businesses, but there's also a category of stakeholders that we need to hear from because of the influence they have on the sector, but also above all, because of the role that they would be playing in the agenda, which role I'll definitely be able to allude to later on in my presentation. We then were able to come up with a clear stakeholder engagement plan, and this plan clearly shows the interests of these stakeholders, their influence, what they need from the insurance industry, and also what their expectations are and what role they can be able to play within this space. So some of the observations from the stakeholders, again, like I mentioned, nothing was almost new. They want us to partner with government to promote financial literacy. They want us to partner with government to build trust. I will refer again to NSSF, the Monday presentation, ladies and gentlemen, and the announcement for the 13.5% interest. You can imagine the level of confidence that that gives to the pension sector. Imagine if government was present at such a gathering and the insurance industry was settling a claim. Because as we know, government does not insure. But that speaks volumes regarding building confidence, building trust in the industry. And I know Alhaji and IRA and the director, you have embarked on the insurance policy, which again speaks to how you can bring government into this space. They also want us to increase collaboration with the commercial banks. They want innovation within this space. They want to see us innovate more. Products that relate and resonate to the current needs. They want us to build digital platforms, and they want us to ensure that we reach the last mile. Now, the initiatives in the agenda will target a wide audience. And again, we would want to ensure that we change perceptions and attitude. We would want to speak to the businessman and woman, the retiree, the corporate worker, the rural man, persons with disabilities, Gen Alpha. And when you go through the details of this agenda, there are clear interventions and initiatives in terms of how we are going to be able to speak to each of these categories. I think the question we asked ourselves in dealing and selecting these categories is, who are these categories? Where do we even find them? Do they even buy insurance? What do they want from insurance? Do they even appreciate risk? These are some of the components that we were able to allude to. But above all, ladies and gentlemen, as we go through the initiatives, we realize that there is a structural challenge that we must be able to encounter or address. That structural problem is the low appreciation and adoption of insurance in Uganda. But core to this structural challenge is the limited understanding of risk and risk mitigation as a lifestyle. So yes, there is low appreciation, but core to this is that there is limited understanding. Now, what we would want to do through this agenda is to undertake a requirement shift. How do we ensure that people who are not using insurance currently, people who are used to their old ways of doing things, used to the informal structure and setup, they rely on communities, they rely on families, they are communal. How do we then teach them how to be risk conscious and ensure that there is an alternative to the informal setup? I think we want to use the socio-ecological model, which then tackles behavioral change. Because predominantly, as Ugandans, we believe that in case of any issues, we rely on our families, we rely on the community. How do we create a behavioral change through the socio-ecological model, which model recognizes the fact that human beings are social beings, that the decisions they make are influenced by community, they are influenced by economic factors, social factors, and they are not necessarily individual decisions. What that means is that the intervention must therefore address the community, must therefore address the social aspects, so that there is a bit of acceptability from the individual. The platform we are going to use, and I remember during our days in Budo, whenever there was a need for us to congregate, they would sound the gong. And I think even in Buganda, if there is a need to address anything in the community, they do sound the drums, and we all collect or gather. So we want to use Gwanga Muje so that we can deliberately convene the public to talk about insurance. Freely, without necessarily putting the public under pressure to purchase insurance. Because the realization from our side is that once communities are empowered, once individuals are empowered with information, once they can freely talk about and deliberate on issues of concern to them regarding the insurance industry, and that these issues are addressed, uptake will be the next step. So we are going to use this platform, Gwanga Muje, to rally Ugandans, to encourage Ugandans, to call upon Ugandans to speak about insurance without putting them under pressure to purchase an insurance policy. The strategy or the agenda has a well laid out communications plan, and our expectation is that by the end of the 5 years, and it's a 5-year journey, understanding of insurance will be at 70% from the baseline of 21% as informed by the survey that we took. I've already talked about the platform and Gwanga Muje. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to move pretty fast to the approach. And I talked about the fact that we would want to shift behavior. And this is going to be undertaken over a period of 5 years. We will engage and dialogue with the community. And one of the things we want to do is to translate insurance in the native language. You cannot dialogue with the community in English, ladies and gentlemen. You must dialogue with the community in a language that they do understand. The agenda will attempt to translate messages of insurance in as many languages as possible. Because we would want to leverage on the traditions, want to leverage on the communities. And Ugandans by nature, we are tradition, we are communal. So can we then, within that setup, within that setting, speak about insurance? We want to integrate education and embed insurance literacy in schools and universities. And of course, the reason as to why we have members like the Insurance Training College on the Technical Working Committee is because they've already made inroads in this. But how do we then support the college under the literacy agenda to be able then to take this forward? Partnering with training institutions. We want to undertake experiential engagement using digital tools. Today, if you are to speak to anyone, you must go through their phone. The easiest way to reach anyone today is through their phone, through an application, through a platform, and we want to tell stories of insurance in a relatable way. Testimonials, for example. And this Gwanga Muje that I've talked about is going to be a nationwide campaign. I think many of us, we might recall a couple of years ago, there was a very famous campaign which was telling us to get off the what network? Get off the, get off the. I think we would want to replicate an insurance-related campaign that could be as impactful as that campaign. And that is the Gwanga Muje campaign. But also we want to engage and align our communication with national development. And I'm happy that Ministry of Finance has already presented here and indicated that insurance is an important enabler in terms of the ATMS model. So how do we then ensure that our communication through this agenda is aligned to national development? NDP4, Vision 2040, and the rest of the aspects that speak to what government would like to do. Of course, it's a three-phase approach in terms of implementation of this agenda. Year 1 to year 2, we are going to be dialoguing. We are going to ensure that where members of the public are curious, we try and build trust. Year 2 to 4, of course, we'll deepen this knowledge through education. And we expect that during the year 4 to year 5, we know that our members, indeed, they are in this to do business. So we expect that from year 4 to 5, we'll see a bit of uptake of insurance increasing. How are we going to be able to finance this agenda? You remember the number I told you to take note of. I think it was about 3.6 billion that we have spent as the insurance industry over the year 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, the 5-year budget for the insurance literacy and market development agenda is 12.5 billion. But how are we going to be able to access these funds? How shall we be able to mobilize these funds? Number one, we expect that we'll have seed capital and funding from the industry players. This is our agenda as the industry. We must contribute to the agenda. We must contribute to its implementation. We expect that the industry players will contribute about 35%. And ladies and gentlemen, we have been under the leadership of IRA. I am sure we shall remain under the leadership of IRA, and we shall expect, and we know, and we've been given assurance that IRA will rally us to ensure that we meet this responsibility. You can imagine from 3.6 billion, over 5 years, the industry players need to invest about 4.3 billion. We can afford that. I know we would also want to ensure that we get some fiscal support, and fiscal support is always from government. Government is already doing a commendable job in terms of supporting the insurance industry, but how do we ensure that we get a bit of fiscal support? Because if insurance is going to be able then to contribute to economic growth and development, have a wider economic impact beyond just the taxes that we pay, including the claims that we pay, the employment, the investments in government securities and the like, we expect government to support us. But also above all, if insurance is going to be an enabler, and indeed act as an enabler, fiscal support will be required. And we expect that 30% will come from government, and that is about 3.75 billion. We have the development partners in the room, and I'm glad that they have been able to append their signature today on the agenda. Again, we'll expect the development partners, and we'll come to you to support the agenda with about 15% funding. There will be donations, but also the private sector and the sponsorship that we'll get from different entities, including businesses, for the activities that we'll undertake. But what does success look like, ladies and gentlemen? We expect that at the end of 5 years, knowledge and understanding of insurance would have grown from 21%, which is our baseline for the survey that we undertook, to 70%. We also expect that at least awareness of insurance will move from the current 21.3%, which is again the baseline, to 70%. What about access to insurance information? We expect that by the year 2030, this will have moved from the current 34 to about 70%. Matters of trust, very critical. We expect, and incidentally, this I think was the FinScope report, insurance industry, 70% of those that were engaged trusted the insurance industry. I think the onus is on us as insurers now to translate that trust into uptake. So trust currently 70%, we are aiming for about 85%, and uptake from the current 2% to about 5% of the population. Currently, and I mentioned this, we are 2%, but also my expectation and our expectation is that gross written premiums will grow by about 20%. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the agenda. That is the plan that we have. And I want the event flow consultant to give Annette a microphone, because we are moving into the next stage, which is the commitment. Madam Katusime, do you have a microphone? We are moving into the next stage, which will take about 2 to 3 minutes. Annette, you can join me on stage here, or you can stay where you are and usher us into the next stage. I am sure there are certain commitments that we want those in the room to make. Please give us that information.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonan. I hope we've all now gotten up to speed with what is in the agenda. There is an abridged version that the team is going to distribute that has some quick highlights that you can look at and be able to internalize. But also, really, the purpose of this function is to introduce the agenda to you. One, for information. Two, to rally support. And support comes in many ways. It doesn't have to be financial always. So together with the abridged version that you'll get to walk away with, there are commitment cards. And in those commitment cards, we are requesting from what you've heard and what you've understood. Because trust me, every time you speak to someone about insurance, they always have something to say. They will tell you what you need to do to improve your services, or they will say, oh, I enjoyed this and I would want to see more of that. So on the commitment cards, we are requesting you to give us your details. If you're comfortable, it's optional to add your name or organization, but also you could tell us how you could support us. You know, sometimes you have ideas. You could have, you could join us. Logistics, you could have a bus somewhere, and when we are in a certain community, you could say, all right, for me, on that day, I'll give you this van to move around and talk about the insurance literacy. So on those commitment cards, please list for us what kind of support you could give us or advice. You know, what you would like to see us do as we implement the agenda. We do know that with time, you'll get to look at the initiatives in the main document. The document contains a communication plan, an implementation plan, which has the different initiatives for the different periods, a communication plan, proposed budget, and a name and e-framework. So for those, I know there are some professors in the room, and those that like to read, you might want to indulge yourselves into the details of the agenda and those annexes that are part of the document to get a very clear understanding. But we are looking forward to your contributions, to your commitment. The commitment can be in terms of financial support, technical support, operations support. You could say, I'm available anytime. Like, for example, I'll tell you, and I would like to commend the panel that is coming up shortly. When we reached out to them, they did not hesitate. Most times, from organizing events, you know how hard it is to get experts to attend events, but also to come and share what they have learned. So you could say, anytime you are going out to talk about literacy or financial literacy, I'm available. So it could be financial, operational, or technical. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. The abridged version. Can we put up the abridged version? Do we have the abridged version? It's a summary of the agenda. The main copy you can access by scanning the code on your desk, the QR code on your desk. This is a high-level summary. Do we all have a commitment card? If you can, please fill out the commitment card now, and you can hand it over to any of the UIA team members.
Yes, the team, please assist our guests. In case they have any questions, Angela, Patience, and part of the technical committee members are available to answer any and guide. We had listed some of the ways you could, the specific ways, in case awareness campaigns, innovations, and the like.
Ladies and gentlemen, That is my presentation. I want to thank you for listening to me, but I must also acknowledge the presence of the ITC principal, Mr. Sol Seremba. I must also acknowledge the financial contribution they gave towards this launch. IBAU as well gave a financial contribution, and also the AIC. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chisache. And thank you for my new title. What was it? PFC, Program Flow Consultant. With that title, I should now sign the board again, I think. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in time, first of all, I hope you've all got that commitment card. Annette, I don't know if you wanted us to read the pledge together, having engaged with the launch of the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda. I commit to contribute towards having insurance literacy and market development in Uganda by, we'll give you a minute to think that through and append your commitment and go on to share your details, which we shall, of course, handle with confidentiality and be able to follow you up. The ushers will be happy to collect those whenever you are ready. Just raise your hand and someone should be able to pick them. But in as far as our agenda is concerned, as we start to come towards the tail end, we just want to have a panel discussion, advancing inclusive finance through insurance literacy. That is the theme of the panel. And I'll just have the honors of inviting the moderator, who's absolutely equal to the task. She will go on to invite her panelists. So, Mr. DJ, you can give me some music and let's put hands together. She serves as the Corporate Affairs Manager at IRA, Madam Mariam Nalunkuma, as she comes through. Let's show her some love with a hand clap. And Madam Nalunkuma will go on to invite the rest of her panelists to come and indulge us in this panel session. Thank you.
Thank you, platform consultant, program flow consultant, Ronnie, for the opportunity of inviting me. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for honoring the invitation by IRA and UIA to come and attend this launch. This is something that is really at the heart of IRA and UIA, and specifically the industry. I know I'm speaking to the converted, and this is the insurance sector, but we also know that as a sector, we have a number of challenges. And specifically, we've been having a low insurance awareness as a song. It is becoming a song for many of us, and we really need to find a way of addressing this. Today we gather to address a critical issue, and this touches the lives of many people. And the issue is financial insecurity, uncertainty, exclusion. And now we want to talk about how we have everyone included. We also know that the harsh realities that are affecting our communities, the people we serve, we have the answers. But why aren't we giving these answers? Majority of the insurance products that are given out, we tend to create anxiety. We create fear. We send fear in people. If this happens, this will happen. Please take insurance. But when we've not explained, we've not simplified the ambiguities. So we come here today with a deep understanding of these risks and the uncertainties that are affecting our people. But most importantly, we want to have a panel that is going to discuss the complexities and challenges that are surrounding insurance as a concept. I think the biggest challenge we're having is people don't understand how insurance works, and that is why we have this agenda. I'm also sure and believe that we come here with a sense of hope, We've come here with a sense of purpose. We've also come here with a sense of responsibility. Insurance needs to be compassion. We need to be empathetic. So as Jonan shared, that respondent from Hoima, are we really compassionate? Or are we just about to take premiums from people? What can we always give back? If we are not giving back, are we really explaining those simple and technical jargons that we have in insurance? Ladies and gentlemen, insurance literacy is a very big gap that we have. And because it is a very big gap, we all must take note that no one should remain in the dark. Actually, no one should lose what they've worked hard for. No one should lose their business. No one should lose their future, simply because there was no one to explain the simple tools that would be taken. Ladies and gentlemen, just like I've been introduced, my name is Mariam Nalunkuma. I'm the Manager Corporate Affairs at the Insurance Regulatory Authority, and I'm privileged to be moderating a panel of men. The ladies, I saw Jonan was trying to reach out to the ladies in this room. I'm glad that I'm also going to be moderating a panel of experts from the financial sector. And this morning, they are going to unpack what it takes insurance to be accessible. Is insurance accessible? Is insurance understandable? This panel is going to give us insights into whether trust or no trust is the biggest challenge of why we are having low uptake of insurance. We have our financial counterparts who are going to also share with us the successful programs and tools that they've utilized in the other sectors, that's the banking sector and the retirement sectors, to see whether as the insurance sector we can leverage on that. I know that many times we've had digital transformation discussions. Is the rural person into really digital transformation? So if you're selling insurance, is it the digital tools that they are lacking, or is it the knowledge about insurance that they are lacking? Please join me in welcoming my panel, and I'll start with my own. This is Sunday Protasio. Sunday Protasio, please join the podium. Sunday Protasio is the Director Strategy and Market Development at the Insurance Regulatory Authority. He's an academician and a development researcher. He's an associate of the Chartered Insurance Institute of the UK and holds a master's and bachelor's degree of economics from Macquarie University. Sunday is currently pursuing a Doctor of Philosophy degree in leadership and institutional management. That's Sunday Protasio. You're welcome. I'll right away go to our counterpart, Alex Ochan from Bank of Uganda. He's the Director, Financial Inclusion Division. He's the Deputy Director, Financial Inclusion Division in the National Payment Systems Department of the Bank of Uganda. And he's at the forefront of coordinating the implementation of the National Financial Inclusion Strategy for Uganda. If you didn't know, we have a National Financial Inclusion Strategy for Uganda, and Ochan is right here, and he will be sharing with us some of the things that are happening in that area. I'll go right away to our development partner. This is Joseph Rutwama. Joseph is a Director Research and Insights at the Financial Sector Deepening Uganda. He was formerly at the Capital Markets Authority. I personally interacted with him a lot at that time. He's a financial markets and business strategy expert. Joseph, you're welcome for this discussion. I'll also introduce our other development partner. This is Bran Atik. Bran is the national coordinator at the UNDP, and he's responsibility mainly focuses on leading implementation of insurance risk financing facility in Uganda, and this specifically focuses on strengthening smallholder farmer resilience. And lastly, I'll invite our supervisor. This is Dr. Bob Munene from the Ministry of Finance. He's the Assistant Commissioner, Ministry of Finance, Financial Services Department. Please join hands in welcoming my panel that is going to take us through what we are going to be discussing today. We've had context being put right by Jonan, but that is specifically on the agenda. I want to start with Sandy Protasio. In your perspective, why is insurance literacy a critical piece of puzzle for us as a sector? Why is the insurance critical for us today? Insurance literacy, why is it critical for us today? Please give us your perspective.
All right. Thank you very much, Mariam. And good morning, colleagues in the room. I think when Alhaji was concluding his remarks, he mentioned that you cannot buy what you do not know. Meaning that knowledge is a precondition for buying. And I want to amend by saying that it is a necessary condition, not perhaps a sufficient one. Sufficiency will require a little more than that. Maybe you'll allow me to take you back to history. I joined the insurance industry in 2012. And I happened to have attended so many discussions related to the subject that is on the floor today. But I want to mention that the rhetoric has not changed. The same issues we discussed 13 years ago are the issues we are discussing today. And that perhaps raises a question as to what we have not been doing right. And maybe the insurance literacy and market development agenda comes fix that. Indeed, a lot has been done, as very well highlighted by Jonan. But maybe we've been shooting in the wild. Our focus has basically been on awareness creation. But probably that is not the problem. Allow me paint a picture of awareness and perhaps what we should be focusing on. A taxi driver in the old park knows insurance because they buy motor third party. In as much as they give it different names, but many of them know it is insurance. As far as what it does and what it does not do, that's a different discussion. Now, when this taxi driver gets an accident and probably has his limb broken, he's out of employment for about 3 months or so, the family has no income, the medical bills blow out the little savings that they have made, and they fall into the poverty again. Probably, if they had known that by paying an extra premium and getting a person accident cover, they would have been saved from that unfortunate occurrence of falling into poverty, probably they could have paid that money because actually they have the money. Now, the difference between that taxi driver and another person who is literate is that the taxi driver is knowledgeable, is aware, but is not literate. Now, our focus of advertisements our focus on market engagements, our focus on different talks in schools and universities has been on awareness creation. And it is really my hope that we move from now awareness to another level, which is literacy. I don't know how many of us in this room can be bold enough to talk the truth by show of hands. My beginning assumption is that you are all aware about insurance. But without any fear of contradiction, maybe you are not literate. Because if you are literate, then you understand how insurance works. Then you relate insurance to your daily risk exposure. And then you live within insurance. I was just speaking to a colleague here that it has been a puzzle in my mind why a chief executive officer or a chief operations officer would rely on only insurance offered by the employer. If actually we know that it works. So it's not knowledge, because you are CIIs, you are CIU with a lot of experience. But what is it that is preventing us from taking a step forward to spending at least 10% or 15% of your paycheck on insurance before we even think about the market vendors? Now, if we can only fix that problem and interest ourselves in being literate, trusting what we are selling, then I fear that even with this very well-designed document, the targets that Jonan has set may not be realized come 5 years from now. So we have to have very honest conversations as we engage, starting with engaging ourselves before we can even step out to engage the others. Literacy is about knowledge plus commitment. Literacy is about believing, creating that belief right from your own heart. When I was given an assignment of market development, the first thing I committed, and I have made it almost mandatory for all my officers in my department, with evidence, they must show to me that they have bought insurance using their own money. Of course, IRA is very generous. They give us a lot of insurance, but I want you to believe in it by spending at least a certain percentage of the money that you earn from insurance. So that as the people you talk to complain, probably you also feel their complaint. Otherwise, we risk being poverty experts, yet we don't know how poverty feels like. If we are going to understand and drive the insurance literacy, we must walk the talk. That's my take, Mariam.
Thank you, Sunday. Thank you, Sunday, for the call to action to all of us. Let's walk the talk. So as you go out to sell a particular insurance product, have you bought that particular product yourself? Do you know how exactly it works? Do you know the challenges that the person you're selling to that product will encounter in the event that that uncertainty happens? Or you're just selling for the sake of, having the gross written premium or closing business for that particular client. So thank you. Financial literacy, insurance literacy, knowledge plus commitment. So it's a call to us to always walk the talk. I'll go right to Alex. From the central bank perspective, why do you think insurance literacy is important? And more so that you're in charge of coordinating the national financial inclusion strategy. Why would insurance be important in this case?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mariam, and allow me to start by appreciating UIA, IRA, and the key stakeholders for this opportunity, and more importantly, for the insurance literacy and market development agenda. I'll just first give a context from from the perspective of the central bank and what we do before coming specifically to answer the question, why do I think insurance is important? So where we sit in the Bank of Uganda, we've been coordinating two main strategies, and that sits directly in my docket. The first one is the strategy for financial literacy, which we are rolling the third one soon, as mentioned by the representative of the PSST in his remarks. But also we do coordinate the National Financial Inclusion Strategy for Uganda, where we're implementing the second one for the period 2023 to 2028. It's a 5-year strategy. Now, starting with the National Financial Inclusion Strategy, one of the areas where we focus on is, and in Objective 2 is deepening the usage of affordable financial products and services, and insurance is one of them. Now, on the side of the literacy part, we also focus on empowering the population with the knowledge, skills, and the confidence to manage their money well in terms of how they decide on using the different financial products and services. Now, we have what we call the Financial Literacy Training of Trainers, which is a 5-day program that empowers the population around 7 areas, from your personal financial management, loans, savings, retirement planning, digital financial services, but also insurance and risk management. As a central bank and working with key stakeholders, we've been able to train a pool of trainers to the tune of 2,652. And those can speak about 70 local languages in the country, and they're spread in over 80% of the different districts in Uganda. We do that as a central bank to empower people to be able to decide. Now, I'll come back to your specific question and why I think insurance literacy is very critical. And I'll give you 2 examples. One, illustrating it from my own perspective in about 2008, when I got a motor vehicle policy, and that was a comprehensive insurance. And we happened to be involved in an accident. And the person in there was a UPDF soldier. So you can imagine the pressure that we had we not been covered. Because the gentleman then wanted his car to be like repaired beyond what the damage was. But luckily enough for us at that time, we went to the insurance company, and his vehicle was repaired and ours was equally worked on. A second scenario was when my auntie got a car, and I have many examples actually on insurance. But now for her, I advised her to get comprehensive cover, or get a policy that covers her well on the car. So first year went and nothing happened. Now on the second year, the car was involved in an accident. And you can imagine the difference between me and my auntie. One was that our perception of insurance was so similar to the story read by the CEO UIA, that I got covered and nothing happened. I seem to be losing my money when I get into insurance. So insurance literacy is very critical in making sure that the population manages the risk that they have. But more importantly, similar to what we have in other products, like savings, loans, and perhaps investments, it eases the burden that on you in terms of drawing down on your resources to cover for any eventuality that may happen. The biggest challenge, though, that we have in the country at the moment is issues around perception of what insurance is and how it works. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex. From Alex's submission, I picked 2 things, and this specifically will go to the Insurance Training College. Alex talks about the trainer of trainers. Maybe this is something that we could also pick up as the insurance sector and through the training college, that we should probably have this kind of strategy. So if it's not only about, because what I understand from the training college, we are only building capacity on the different products that are on the market. But are we really having that training about insurance literacy? Are we having that training on changing the perceptions that are out there about insurance? Maybe this is something that that Insurance Training College can also think of. But when you also share the different scenarios that happened to you, and this I will relate to the recent meeting we had in Masaka, the John Sebana Chizito Memorial Lecture, and I will congratulate the ITC for organizing this. What clearly came out was the public does not understand the concept of insurance. Yes, you go out there and sell the different products, but the concept of how insurance works is our biggest problem. And this takes me to Joseph. The FinScope study, survey indicated that formal insurance uptake has increased from 1%, that is in 2018, to 2% in 2023. And the overall estimated uptake is for 5%. That's a good estimate. So given what you've found out, how do you think the insurance sector and the insurance industry can build confidence? Just like I said, is it the issue of trust, or isn't it trust? Is it perception? Is it the attitude about insurance? How can we, from your perspective, how can the insurance sector build confidence in insurance services to enhance the trust and adoption of insurance services? Joseph?
Thank you. I would like to, first of all, thank the organizers for making this happen and for quite an ambitious strategy for developing the insurance market. I will not repeat what the other panelists have said. I would want to challenge everyone here to give you a very different perspective. From my experience in the financial markets, I've tried to understand what is the driver of access and demand for financial services, not just insurance. And for insurance particularly, I have a hypothesis, and I want to challenge the insurers in the room, that I think one of the biggest challenges for the insurance industry is actually the concept of insurance. Because if you look at insurance from how it is defined in the Insurance Act, which essentially is saying that the only way to manage risk is by transferring that risk to another party, by paying a premium. That in itself was a good concept 500 years ago. Someone actually came up with that beautiful innovation of how to manage risk by transferring risk from another person by just simply paying a premium. It was a fantastic concept, and it's still a fantastic innovation. But the reality is that that's not the only way you manage risk. Because if you think about it clearly, insurance is basically managing risk. So what we are saying in this room, that the only way you can manage risk is by transferring that risk to another party. But the reality is there are so many ways of managing risk. In fact, I want to make a case that what we call ignorance in the public may not necessarily be ignorance of the public. They may just be sharp because they have looked at your way of how you're going to manage their risk, and I think they have alternatives. Let's take the example of a car. You're insuring me against accident, right? So one way of managing risk is by paying a premium, knowing that in case anything happens to my car, you're going to pay and replace it. Another way is making sure I go to driving school, I do defensive driving, and I do prevention rather than cure. Because insurance is basically when you're sick, I'm able to cure you, right? The other way to manage, even going to the hospital, is by ensuring that actually I manage my life well so that I don't even step into the hospital, so that I don't even incur that cost. So someone who has figured out how to drive their car well, and for the last 20 years, they have not had an accident, no amount of convincing them that actually, in case they have an accident, because I won't have an accident because I've managed my life well. So what am I driving at is that we need to broaden the concept of insurance. So we stop looking at it as insurance and we begin to look at it as risk management. How do we manage your risks? What that means then is that you need to understand the risks each of the potential customers is going through, and then you can then design products that can manage their risks appropriately. And I'll explain why traditional insurance may not work for a low-income earner. A low-income earner has so many priorities competing for the small amount of money they have. So meaning that they cannot afford to keep that money away for a long time. And for that low-income earner, their greatest need is not the future. Their greatest need is survival through today. So if I earn 100,000 shillings, I have like 10 or even 20 competing interests for that 100,000 shillings. It means that if I don't use it to take my child to hospital, I'll use it to pay for school fees. If I don't use it to pay for school fees, it is going to increase my stock. So meaning that I cannot even pay a premium, because when I pay a premium, that money won't come back to me. That's why when you come and sell them, they will find it so difficult to give you that money, because they know that if they give it to you and that risk does not materialize, that money is not going to come back to them. So meaning that that type of client requires a different risk management solution. Now, for a big company, oil and gas, they have a lot of disposable income. They can afford to buy insurance and a premium because they want to have a peace of mind that in case anything happens, and they can afford to put away because they have disposable income anyway. So for them, insurance is a very nice product for them. So in other words, what I'm saying is that we need to segment our customers, understand their risk needs, and design appropriate risk management tools. The beauty is, IRA has provided a regulatory sandbox, meaning that the regulatory sandbox allows for innovation around regulation, meaning that through the sandbox, you can even redefine what insurance actually is. And the sandbox allows you to even to test that redefinition of insurance. So that's the beauty. We have all the tools at our disposal to actually innovate. So not just around the same product, but create new boxes of how to think about risk management beyond the current one that we are so used to, that has been around for so many years.
Okay, that's Joseph. And I want to pick it from there. Is the public really ignorant? Is the public ignorant, or we are the ones who are ignorant? Probably it's us who are ignorant on what we should be providing the public. We know, we think we know, and then I've seen so many discussions. You see them on TikTok. Someone you think is really learned, but then comes out and says, no, this was not what I signed for. So was that person ignorant, or that person was not explained to? And this is the agenda for the insurance literacy and market development that we've just launched. Simplifying, demystifying some of these technicalities. And when, Joseph, you talk about the alternatives, from your perspective, what alternatives and how do you think the insurers can bring out these alternatives? Because the insurers are saying insurance is the best way to protect those that are likely to face uncertainty. Which alternatives are you trying to put across for the insurers to bring to the masses?
Of course, I don't have all the answers. And I'm sure that's the reason why we have the market development agenda, because market development, you're developing the market actually evolves, right? But one of the things that we're learning, even from our continuous work, is that even just going, if you are to stay within the box of the current definition of insurance, especially for the low-income earners, surely the low-income earner, the typical traditional insurance may not make sense to them, even if you reduce the premiums. But there are stakeholders in the community who are interested in the safety of that person. The good example I can give is farming, for instance. If you're an aggregator, you're an off-taker, and you have farmers, the level of income that the farmers are getting may not necessitate them to buy insurance. That's why even without the agricultural insurance consortium, whatever it is, without that money from government, none of those farmers will actually be able to do that. So it's incumbent upon the off-taker, whether it is a factory or whatever it is, to actually buy insurance for the outgrowers. And in that way, they have secured the outgrowers, whether it is health or agriculture. From the off-taker's perspective, that is not a cost of production. It's actually an investment because it will provide stability in your supplies. It will provide stability in the quality and commitment and productivity. Whereas the actual farmer will not see any value because so long as the farmer gets their money, they don't care whether your factory is operating at a good rate or not. But it's your interest that you continually keep that supply running. That's why it's incumbent upon you to actually make that investment. That's why even in the corporate world today, I can bet you the reason why health insurance has actually grown up so fast is because companies took it upon themselves to actually pay insurance for their employers. Previously to that, they would give them medical allowance, but before the month end, that medical allowance would have been diverted to other things. They'd rather use that medical allowance to actually, but yet they would fall sick and affect the performance of the company. So the company then had to take it upon themselves to actually pay for that insurance. So that is another way to look at it, to stay within the box. But I think there are much more opportunities for growth if we can choose to get out of the current box and create many new boxes around risk management. I can tell you, for instance, all industries have changed. We started out with a horse. Now, even they're talking about flying cars. Insurance, we are still talking about the same way of risk management, risk transfer, so many 100 years ago. Surely there must be an opportunity to innovate, to look at many more different ways to manage risk of different customer segments.
Thank you, Joseph. And I'll focus now on the regulatory sandbox. And I will challenge the group here. How many of our companies are really participating in the regulatory sandbox? The IRA has created this platform for you to innovate. So use the platform. Use the platform and see how you can reach the different masses. I'll then go to Bran. Bran, we understand that the UNDP's work is mainly rooted in resilience and sustainable development. Why should Ugandans see insurance literacy as more than just a financial tool or skill, but maybe something that they should partake to secure their livelihoods and build strong communities? Why is it necessary?
Thank you very much. Once again, I just want to thank UIA, IRA, and all the stakeholders who have put this together. I think this is a very, very great opportunity for us to see how we can unlock and support the country to transition from where we are stagnant to another level. Just to give you a snapshot, very small snapshot. Globally, we understand, according to World Bank, that 80% of the world's 500 million have been facing different climate impact. You can see that percentage, and as Uganda, we are not exceptional. Because if you look at that percentage alone, I think you can even start feeling like, I think we are heading to a direction where all of us are going to be doomed, including the future we are dreaming about. And also to add on the losses that we are incurring, according to World Bank, I think you can see that disaster and this climate impact have caused a lot of us to spend over $13 billion towards this. Therefore, I think this is coming at the right time. What I can say is that for us, we look at insurance literacy beyond awareness creation. We need to look beyond awareness creation. Reason being, I just wanted to give you just one example. If all of us here are given any opportunity to move just within here in Kampala, in all these big offices, and we should talk about insurance, I think all of us will return back here when we are very sad, because no one will accept that it's one of the best tools for us to de-risk our investment. Because they feel this is a space where people are just doing business, getting their profit, and walking home with the profits. And they always even say this in most of the interactions that I have. They say, you see, most of these CEOs, when they make the profit from the insurance, they go to Dubai and they enjoy. For us, when we are suffering here. That's the perception that we have with our people. Therefore, building on that, regarding to climate and investment, I think we are feeling that insurance literacy is key. It's key because, one, it will help, especially our smallholder farmers, the communities, build their resilience because they are the most affected. Because if you see any example, I've worked with these farmers for over 10 years and 15 years. We have tried a lot of interventions, climate smart agriculture, what, to promote. But the moment you just go and promote these practices, as the farmer is stabilizing, drought comes in, floods comes in, and everything is wiped up. And that's why everyone is running now to the cities and to the towns. Instead of concentrating on those ventures which are affected by climate, they are now running to the town to better ride a border, because there, you know, if it is a drought or rain, you can still ride and get something. Therefore, from our side, we feel, I think, we need to take the right information. We need to empower everyone from the national level, the central level, to the regional level, to the local person, by telling them the importance, by them seeing insurance. We can't say that insurance is the best tool like my colleague has said. We have many tools, but insurance can help you to protect even the other tools that you are using, especially when it comes to the farming community, to protect you against climate change and disasters. And for them to appreciate that, we need to be very innovative and start coming with products that, if a farmer is buying this product, let him see that insurance should be one of the costs which is going to protect his investment. If he's going to earn 2 million, if the cost for insurance is 200,000, he knows that he's protecting his 2 million, that in the event that drought comes, he knows that he will not go to zero, at least he has a recovery process. Then everything dying and you go home. But I think still in the country, the way we are coming up with our products, we are designing our products in the offices. We are designing our products where we are sitting without consulting these different businesses, the farmers themselves, the communities. How will they start appreciating? Will it be possible? It is impossible. It's like somebody telling you, you know how to corn very well, and you feel you are very confident, you can look at the lady you wanted, then your parents tells you that, do you know what, we have identified for you another lady in another village, and that's what we want. Do you think that you can accept as an individual? I think it becomes very hard. Therefore, I think this, the launch of this literacy program, I think, has come timely, and I think I'm very happy. We should not be only looking at the community. Let's start with ourselves. Do we even understand? Even me, myself, do I even understand? Like the way Sandy has said. Have I even bought? I have interacted with colleagues here. When they tell me, I still tell them, it's good, but the way you have designed it, I think it can't fit my pocket. If me, who is promoting it, can still not understand, how do you expect the person who is down there to understand? Therefore, if we can use the right business model and see the importance, I am very sure, even us as insurance companies who are promoting this, we can unlock this business and we can make more profits than being in our rudimental methods. And this one will contribute a lot to the development of the country, sustainability of our country, and contributing to the SDGs and the National Development Plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Bran. And I'll just pick it from there. Bran is talking about the comfort zone we are in. We are designing products for people, but we don't know what they are going through. And I will relate to the agriculture insurance products that we give out. Do we really know what the farmers are experiencing? Yes, we are now requesting government to increase the scheme from 5 billion to maybe 10 or 20. The Minister of Finance will tell us whether that is going to be possible. But as we send this product to the farmers, do we really understand what the farmers are going through? Or are we just designing products for them, and then when they get challenges, we don't know how to help them, and then we will not be able to pay if they come to claim, and then the perception issues will come through. And that takes me direct to Dr. Bob Munene. This is from Ministry of Finance. Doctor, we want to understand, agriculture has traditionally been considered a high-risk sector, and the insurance sector has taken an opportunity to also venture into it and provide the different tools to protect the farmers. Are there any efforts made by the Ministry of Finance to de-risk this sector? Please share with us some lessons that you've received from especially reports relating to maybe the agriculture insurance scheme. Doctor?
Thank you, Mariam. First of all, I want to thank the Uganda Insurance, the Insurance Regulatory Authority, and other organizers for this event. I must say that, excuse me, like panelists identified that insurance has been a product hard to sell. As a government, we identified that agricultural insurance was a hard product sale. Now, what we did in 2016-17 financial year with stakeholders, Bank of Uganda, insurance companies, we came up with the Uganda Agriculture Insurance Scheme that provides subsidy, premium subsidy to the agricultural sector. We started with 5 billion as a pilot study, because we wanted to see if this product would be accepted by the public. Now, first of all, we made it tax-free, and we structured it in the sense that small-scale farmers will have a subsidy of 50%, large farmers 30%, small but high-risk areas at at 80%. We have seen down the road 9 years, the uptake has gone high. You can't believe that we have 1 million beneficiaries in agriculture insurance. Production, no doubt, has gone high. We've been talking other factors that export has gone high. One of the underlying factors is agriculture insurance. The youth and other people joining the agriculture sector has gone high. Banks shy away to provide credit to agricultural facility. Now, banks are willing to provide this, and as government, we feel like this is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. It is the way to go. So it's a call to action for us to also think about, especially how we provide this information. You know, and for the farmers, if you provide very complicated information, they will not understand and they will not buy. If you provide information that is very clear, they will definitely come on board. So we from the Insurance Regulatory Authority think that the farmers have tried to appreciate the benefits of agriculture insurance, because if we receive reports from the Agriculture Insurance Consortium that the scheme, the funds that were provided are not enough, the demand is high, then it means that they are trying to appreciate. So I think we need to move ahead and also design products that are really for the farmers. I'll call on to now the audience for any questions. Let's now let the panelists hear from you. Maybe you have questions that you would like to put to them before we get to our last session. Annette, by show of hand, you can raise your hand and then the microphone will be brought right to you.
Thank you very much. My name is Ronald Zake. I just want to comment what Lutwama is saying. And I will just help the insurers on a very simple concept of what we call barrier insurance. You know very well that when you lose someone in the village, the community gets together. Normally it's the chairman in what they call Muno Mukabi, and everybody has to contribute then, and it works. We've tried to go into it, but I will tell you, Lutwama, unless you start with the laws and regulation, you won't go very far, even with your sandbox. Because if someone quotes you a section of the act, and even perhaps wants to fine you for not doing what should be done, then I don't think we'll go very far. So I think as you do this study, start with the act or the law, so that whatever you say is backed by the law. And am I right? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Zake. Let's get that was a comment. Let's get yes.
My name is Mbode Muhammad, Compliance and Risk Officer, Clarkson Insurance Brokers. Yeah, thank you, Hajat, for the moderation. And also, I'd like to thank Mr. Zake for his comments. Actually, mine is to supplement on what he has said, that when we are indeed to talk about development of the market, maybe especially to do with the inclusion, yeah, we need to find a way of putting it in the law. The example I can give is in India. I don't know whether it's still there, but when I went there some time back, there was a requirement that all insurers must have evidence, okay, must show to the regulator that they have written a certain percentage of micro insurance premium. So micro insurance should not be relegated to micro insurers, but there has to be evidence even from the other insurers that they are making the deliberate efforts to develop micro insurance, and that will enable financial inclusion. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll request members to be snappy as we raise our comments and questions so that we can have as many people interacting from the audience.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
My name is Superintendent of Police Justin Opus. And I want to stand to thank Insurance Regulatory Authority and the Uganda Insurers Association for the launch of this insurance literacy and development agenda. One, I think it is important that we get educated. Like the panelists, one of the panelists mentioned, that sometimes even us, we don't understand these things that we are telling other people to do. I want to give you an example. Somebody is told of a health policy. He goes ahead to sign it with excitement that this is now going to solve my health problems. Whenever I have a health-related issue, I just walk to a health facility and I get the medication. And then he gets this assumption that it has covered him, his family, his children, and so on. Then the wife conceives. The next day, when it is time to give birth, he walks to a health facility, only to be told, this policy does not cover antenatal. Just imagine the pain that person will have. And so, with this knowledge, that all of us get educated, including those who sell the policies, because there is a disconnect. That those who go to sell the policies sometimes also do not know the details in the policies they are selling. But because of the drive that they need to make more sales, and so that when Ndugu Chisache organizes award-giving ceremony, the person benefits, he doesn't have to pay those details. His interest is how many have I sold to be able to get those awards. Thank you very much. So this is going a long way, and when you are going to do the sensitization, please carry me along so that I go with you. I get educated, I also educate others. Thank you very much.
That's public commitment. Jonan, you've already received that commitment from Afande Opus. And when Afande Opus stood up to speak, I recalled we've just had a talk show, and it's about the digitized stickers. But then that was Afande Norman Musinga, who was on air, and he said, but Mariam, we are in this together. We want to encourage the public to take on the digital stickers, but isn't there any insurance product that can cover police? Why should we be supporting you when you're not supporting us? So that's food for thought for the audience. There are products that security can take on. Yes, any other comment? Yes, Annette?
Thank you very much. My name is Paul Bambingire, and I'm a program officer for UNAB, that is Uganda National Association for the Blind. And I'm here on issues when Al-Haj Doctor was giving a speech. There are patent things I noted about communication. You know, awareness is very, very important, but it should be in the accessible formats. Now, for example, for us with the visual impairment, if this information is not in the accessible format, then it is as good as useless to us. Because if it is in a print, and for me, I cannot read, that means that this information is not helping me. So for us, we are looking at, one of it that we have been behind the advocating of the Marrakesh Treaty, to be assigned to be domesticated in Uganda. And I'm happy that today it is at the cabinet level. And what it tells that all information should be in accessible format to us people with visual impairment. So if we take out this awareness, for us as Uganda National Association of the Blind, we can commit that we can mobilize the visually impaired. However, they can only be this information can only be of use if it is inaccessible formats like in Braille, like in audio. So if we can do that, then I think also the IRA would be benefiting more. So I think we need to work close to understand that different consortiums have different way of accessing this information. Because we have the deaf and the blind, how are you handling them? We have those with physical disability, at least those ones they can read. So we need also to package this information and to sell our packages in the need of the group. So I think that was my comment, and thank you.
Thank you so much. I would request we take two, three. Annette, in the interest of time, we're going to take only 3 more, and then we'll close that for the panelists to respond.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kentaro Pamela. I'm the legal officer of Traffic Police. My concern is basically a bias, especially in line with the motor third-party insurance policy. From experience, it has not been of much benefit to the people who take it out. For instance, the law that we rely on was made in 1989. If a motorist, say, is involved in a road crash, the maximum for an individual is 1 million shillings. And then aggregate is 10 million. If most of the crashes we get involve especially fractured limbs and head injuries or trauma to the head. And the cost of treating, the minimum cost of an implant, if it is to be fixed in a limb, the minimum is about 2 million. So this is a person who has a motor third-party insurance policy, whose maximum he can get is 1 million. But as he's processing the benefit of this policy, he's asked to present a police report, which costs about 80,000. Then there's that back and forth movement. Bring this, bring that. So you could look at about maybe spending 300,000 in trying to furnish the insurance company with the documents needed. Well, when you deduct the 300,000 from the 1 million, that's about 700,000. So at the end of it all, you find that that policy is not beneficial to the person who bought that policy. So, and then also the other issue is about modes of transport like buses, which carry about 60 passengers. Why should it even be having a third-party insurance policy? Can't we have a policy that covers a bigger kind of compensation in the event that the crash happens? Because if a bus is carrying 60 and 50 get injured at a cost of the aggregate of 10 million compensation aggregate. So if you divide 10 million by the 50 people, how much will each one get? Will it be beneficial? It would not. So for me, I would like to implore the regulators and the other bodies under this umbrella to discuss with Parliament on the way that law can be amended, because the way it is, if we are to go by today's theme and all that, it's an uphill task to convince someone that actually this is a policy that will benefit, to even get people who have benefited, especially say the border industry or the motorists. It's difficult unless the person has like comprehensive. Then the other issue is that the law doesn't cover, it only covers bodily injury and death. So in the event where a driver knocks another vehicle, the policy cannot be of benefit to that person. So those are the gaps in the area in relation to motor third-party insurance that I request that you take on so that we address them, and then we can have this literacy and people benefiting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And on the panel, we have the regulator. You will ably respond to that question. We're having 2 more.
Thank you, moderator, and thank you, IRA, Uganda Insurance Association, and all the other insurance agencies that have made this possible. I'm Kisache Robert, Minister of Works and Transport, representing the Commission on Transport Regulation and Safety. One, I thank the insurance sector for working well with the ministry on matters of insurance, and for purposes of this agenda, the launch of the Insurance Literacy and Market Development Agenda, the ministry is very, very interested and will collaborate with the sector in ensuring, especially that transporters are catered to. And I think we have a lot of challenges with the transporters, as my colleague Pamela has stated. I also want us to take keen interest in one, use of automation. I remember when IRA brought the automation aspect of insurance for the motor third party, when we connected it to our licensing system, we found probably that 70% of motor third party had been forged. Now we have a problem with the COMESA. COMESA, there's a lot of forgery. And we need to take special interest because there's a lot of exposure, especially being that these are foreign vehicles that are in Uganda and Ugandan vehicles in foreign countries, meaning that when you get a challenge there, the support is not even that much. I think I've seen the Africa Re, there's Uganda Re. We need to take a little more keen interest in the operations of COMESA in the country. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. It brings us to the issue of forgeries and fraud. There was a question here. Hajat, you had a question, you had raised up your hand. Do you still have it, or we get back to the panelists? Snappy?
Morning. I would like to thank UIA, IRA, and the panel. Mariam, thank you for moderating. UIA, I have issues. I'm the president, Women in Insurance in Uganda. I love the panel, the way it is composed. But of course, there are issues. I'm sure next time we shall, I'm not saying do better, but we'll be more sensitive. Yes, Sunday, you said the rhetoric since you joined. It has been the same rhetoric since 43 years ago. And it is our hope and belief that what we are launching today is going to change the rhetoric. I'm not sure of the composition in this room. I don't know if the majority are insurers. I would have loved the majority to be the insurers, the people who actually buy insurance, and the police. I don't know how the composition is. UNDP, thank you for relating climate change with the insurance. It is my question. I just want to understand what is the role of UNDP in all this? How is UNDP helping to ensure that all these areas are sorted, whatever issues there are? Yeah. Thank you so much, and may God bless all of us.
Okay. Thank you, Hajat, and thank you for that observation of no lady on the panel. But they were sensitive enough to at least get a female moderator. Hajat, you may appreciate that. Back to the panel. Maybe we could get some comments before I pose the last questions for the panelists. Joseph, do you have anything to add on to Zake's comment?
Yes.
And tie it together with my brother from Clarkson.
Yes, Mr. Zake, precisely the reason why the sandbox was put in place is to address exactly the issue you're raising. The sandbox assumes that, or is established on the premise that not every possible risk management product is covered by the Insurance Act. And therefore, the sandbox allows you, within controlled environment, to test a product that is not covered by the law, with the understanding that for that controlled period, the insurance regulator will better understand that product, see whether it is accommodated within the law, or they need to create provisions within the law to cover that product, especially if it is beneficial to the public. So I don't see any reason why Muno Mukabi, which is mainly in central Uganda and western Uganda, why it cannot be tested in the sandbox. And you can then be able to establish the risks around that product and see how the law can actually accommodate that product. So that then insurance companies can now begin rolling out that product. So that it's not on the periphery. So that we no longer call it informal, but now it becomes formal and recognized by the law. So I think that is the whole gist and purpose why a sandbox is in place. And maybe the challenge for us and the regulator is maybe they need to be more sensitization on what the sandbox is, why it is there. It's not, the sandbox is not there to help you innovate. The assumption is that you are already innovated, you know this product can actually serve the purpose of can serve the needs of the public. The only challenge you have is that it's not in the law. And the sandbox allows you to operate and test out that product within the controlled environment so that the regulator can understand it better, accommodate it within the law, or even create new provisions in the law.
Okay. Alex, do you have any comment?
Yeah, really, not much, but just to build on the comments made by Afande Opus and Paul from UNAP. I think what's important, and just like Afande said, in most cases when these products are being sold, there is not so much of clarity, and we liken it to the credit market where we give the analogy of the person selling you the product is either a very beautiful lady or a very handsome gentleman, and gives you all the good parts and does not mention the bad part of what credit is all about and some of the charges that you may incur. It's until when you start defaulting that then this tough gentleman comes to recover the funds. Collectively, I think it's important for all of us to simplify the insurance policy terms that people sign. What we've done in the banking sector is to introduce what we call the key facts document for credit and also deposit that specifies this will be your interest rate, these are charges that you may get, as simple as possible for the consumer. So I think that's something very important. And for UNAP, I agree with him in terms of trying to make sure that these literacy materials are accessible to the different groups of the population, including PWDs. Thank you.
Okay. Sanda, please be snappy in that response. I know you might.
You know I made?
Please go ahead and respond to.
All right. I would have benefited. Maybe, I may take a little longer, but I won't. One, from my sister from Uganda Police, all the proposals, is she listening? Yeah, she's now listening. All the proposals which you've raised have actually been incorporated in an overhauled bill. We have done an overhaul, not even an amendment, but an overhaul to ensure that it's no longer motor third party, but compulsory motor vehicle insurance. And the reason as to why it is going beyond third party is because we now want also to have the driver and the conductor covered in that case. But also the limits are being revised. We are still discussing about the issue of the physical sticker being displayed in view of digitization. So thank you very much for reinstating those. They are already accommodated, and the current state is that that bill is, maybe Musa will make a comment from the Ministry of Finance, but you see, we make these laws, the ministry makes the laws. So we are working with them, and they have what they can confidently call a fair draft. Then from Robert, Ministry of Works and Telecommunication and Transport, we thank you so much for cooperating with us, and indeed we have gone far and gained a lot of mileage. But just as a caution on the digital agenda, which stands very prominently in the insurance literacy and market development agenda, and typical of any regulator, we have to balance innovation with consumer protection, or else we risk losing the mileage that we can gain. I know there have been a lot of talks about some insurance products, which I will not mention here, which are being sold over digital platforms, and the kind of queries that are coming up, which again reinforces the argument that innovation, digitization have to be discussed side by side with consumer protection, or else we take one step forward and 2 steps backwards. The net effect then will be negative. If I understood my friend Ronald very well, and Ronald, you may correct me if I'm wrong, you are saying that the Muno Mukabis of this world will only gain mileage with a backup law. Now, I think you are not saying that we need a framework, because the framework is already there. We have a microinsurance regulatory framework. Maybe you are talking about creating some legislative incentives, in quotes, so that these people have no option but to buy, which almost points towards creating some bit of compulsion in a way, using the law. If that is the case, that is still debatable. We can have this debate maybe outside this room. But the supply side has to be worked on, as Mr. Lutuama has mentioned. And maybe to differ a little bit from Mr. Lutuama's initial submission, that the low-income people typically may not buy insurance. We need to change the dressing of the insurance a little bit. Because in my view, I am very, very strong that the low-income people need insurance more than my brother Chisachi, with an 8-digit figure on the account monthly, because he has a fallback position. But those people do not have a fallback position. So the only way we can help them is to design something which speaks, again, I agree with Lutuama, speaks to their actual needs, they can relate to on a daily. If it's an agricultural product, they know that a drought cannot close the farm. A medical bill should not close a stall in the market, and the death of the breadwinner should not stop children from going to school. So we just need to come up with that value proposition. Otherwise, within those small incomes, it is possible that insurance can gain a place on the list of the priorities. On the motor, I think I'd mentioned about the motor third party. I have talked about the issue of digitization. The COMESA, Uganda Re has already developed a platform, which actually they should already be approaching you to see if they can also integrate it with yours, to again leverage the data which you have and ensure that they crack down the lots of fraud which has been identified in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, Brand, do you have any comment from the audience?
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I saw Hajat asking me the role of UNDP in this space, and I will request that someone takes this information to her because after the questions she took off. UNDP is a development agency which supports government development. And for us, our role as UNDP is to support the government. That's why our current insurance and risk finance facility project, we are working in partnership with the Ministry of Finance, with the regulator, with the Insurance Training College, and other partners that we feel. One of the things, the key things that we want to play as UNDP is not to come and distort the market, but how can we come and support this market grow in a better way, so that it can serve the last bit end of the person who is the most vulnerable. I am very sure insurance is very difficult to be bought by someone who is the least vulnerable and he's not doing any business case in his surrounding. But that person can benefit from other ways. Therefore, that's our role, to help the government in terms of advocating for better policies and frameworks, conducting research to understand, capacity building, then technical assistance. I can give you one example, I think. In Uganda, when we were looking for any inclusive insurance training expert, we failed. But as UNDP, what we did was to come in partnership with Insurance Training College to train our own trainer of trainees. And they are going to be international certified trainers that can train in Uganda and also train outside Uganda. I think that's how we are coming to this space, to see how can we have, if we are talking about literacy, do we have the skills within the country? If we don't have, how can we, because we do a lot of global studies, global results, anything we do, we make sure that we get best practices. Therefore, I think that's our role, and we thank the government of Uganda, especially Minister of Finance, leading us. All of us are behind them, and the only way we can succeed is because Ugandan's model outside there, I think everyone wants to invite Uganda to present how they are working between the private sector and the government. But I think the only thing is for us to strengthen and work together more and more. As companies, let's come together. We should not look at ourselves as competitors, but let's look at ourselves. How can we create our ideas together and make a valuable meaning to contribute to the country? I think that's what I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Doctor, Brand talks about Ministry of Finance. Can you maybe have an additional submission to that?
Thank you, Mariam. As the policymakers, our role is to create a conducive environment for the industry to grow. For instance, the lady from police, I did say that the motto third party is insufficient and it does not meet what it intended to do. Now, with stakeholders, we've come up with the amendments, which we think will meet what she's proposing. And we have also, for us as the government, we are there to listen, adapt what is workable for the environment. For example, we are proposing to introduce Islamic insurance, what we call the Takaful, which we are working on them, and we hope the public will have a range of products and the services with this product. So our role mainly is to provide a conducive environment so that the industry thrives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to just take a quick question to the panelists. Just one question. Joseph, what is that one step you think the sector should do different in the next 5 years?
They should be open to create new boxes of how they look at insurance.
Okay. Okay. And then, Alex, how do you see success after the launch of this agenda? Of course, Janan shared with us the success story.
I think for me, besides just the literacy, the products must meet the needs of the consumers. There's a lot of potential, especially in the rural areas, but are these products designed for them? Success would come when these products are appropriate.
Okay. And then, Bran, what is that partnership that the sector can grow or develop for insurance literacy to thrive?
Yeah, thank you very much. This space has a lot of opportunities. And what I can say is that if we want to grow at this space, we need to embed or integrate insurance into the different business models that we have in the country. One, whether it's from the government side or the private sector side. For example, we should be able, if government has designed PDM, let's come strongly to present to them the case why insurance will be very important as part of that. We have our agricultural credit facility at the Bank of Uganda. Can we go beyond only protecting the loan that the bank is issuing? Can we look at the person himself, that in the event that the loan is protected, his venture that he has done in the garden, his enterprise that he has done should be also protected. Say that as the bank is receiving and is very happy that my loan has been covered by insurance, the farmer or that person should also be what? Very happy that I am going back to production because I'm covered. I think that's the best. And finally, we need to co-create. We need to sit together with the government to see how can we also tap in on the different resources that we have globally with the international foundations and government bodies. Because if we work in isolation, we are missing a lot of those resources as a country. Thank you.
Okay. And Sunday, in just one sentence, what is that most urgent action that IRA will take in advancing insurance literacy?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mariam. I think it is to rally behind the sector in advancing this agenda, because what I know is that we have the solution ourselves. What is missing is coordinating the solution and ensuring that we deliver it in a manner that generates results, but also tracking progress. I would be very interested in tracking the different numbers which I saw being highlighted. Because if we don't do that, then it is possible that we shall just be having a would-have document as opposed to a must-have document.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. lastly, if you had one message for Ugandans, what would it be about the value of insurance?
First of all, I have to say that when you look at the interest rate that banks provide, the biggest factor that brings the interest rate high is there is risk. Now, for us as government, we saw that, for example, in agricultural insurance, because banks never used to, that was a no-go area for the banks. Now, when we de-risked agriculture, banks are willing to lend money to the agricultural sector. So the public should see insurance not as a mere cost, but as a necessity for them to thrive their businesses and other activities that they carry out. Thank you.
They've given us this afternoon, from morning to afternoon. We thank you so much. And I will hand over to Ronnie. Thank you.
Come on, we can do better than that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to ask you all to be upstanding for a group photo, and I'll ask your able moderator to join you for that group photo. We have a token of appreciation also for each of our panelists. And to give these out in a short while, I'm going to be inviting some members of the executive committee to just come and help me pass on our token of appreciation. Maybe I'll invite Mr. Simwe Milton first on behalf of the committee. There's also, of course, the country manager, Zepri, to come and give out. He'll maybe give out 3. And then I'll ask Mr. Kimathi Patrick to also come and give out the other 3. All right. While they do that, the little red folders at your desks, one of the QR codes is a feedback form. We appreciate feedback, so if you could just scan it, it won't take you too long, and you just take a quick feedback. Thank you. Mr. Kimathi also serves as the CEO at Old Mutual Life Assurance, and I'll allow him to give out the other 3. All right, and if you look at the program, we are pretty much at the end, right on time. But because we might have lost a few minutes, allow me in a short while to come and bring this to a wrap. I'll be inviting our CEO just to come back, Mr. Chisache, right after this. But do take a minute to fill out the feedback form. For now, let me invite him to come and do the official wrap-up of tonight. The feedback forms, there were also the other pledge forms. If you haven't yet handed in yours on the way out, someone will be happy to collect them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the event flow consultant. And thank you very much to our panelists and also the moderator for a job well done. They deserve a round of applause, please. I think one of the things that I have noticed in my short insurance career is that every single time you have an insurance-related event, you must be ready for that third-party question, motor third-party question. And I am glad that the regulator was in the house because the concern on motor third-party always comes up. And I think one of the issues that we have done behind the regulator is the fact that we are trying to collect data, because much as the officer has alluded to the accidents occurring, we cannot put a number to those vehicles that are actually causing accidents but do not have insurance. So at the end of the day, there is that assumption that yes, where there is an accident, there is an insurer who is covering. But that is not always the case. And I think, if I can recall correctly, every year we insure about 500 to 550,000 vehicles. But border borders alone, from a report I saw, are about 1.2 million. In fact, this year by August, we had only issued certificates, motor third-party certificates, to about 59,000, but they were below about 60,000 border riders. So actually uptake is a bit of a problem. So I want to acknowledge our panel of experts and also indicate that yes, we've gotten the commitment cards, and I know many of you have returned these, handed them over to the UIA team. But again, I want to call upon those that still have the commitment cards, please proceed and complete these commitment cards. But also, if you want us to follow up, that can be done, and we can reach out to you later on if you need to consult, for example. Now, I wanted to give the consultants, especially Fireworks, a minute, just quickly to come and share their experience in terms of how they came up with this agenda and the sort of challenges. Mr. CEO, please come. I'll just give you a minute before I wrap up. I don't know if Raymond was the one who was supposed to do this. Raymond, you can come. just 1 minute to share experiences, because I would want to close in 2 minutes. Please come. Let's welcome him, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Jonan. And a very good afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure being here and witnessing the launch of the agenda that we started working on with the UIA team last year. And for us, it was an exciting journey, but also one of a great challenge to us as an agency. My name is Walter Wafula, sorry, and I'm the CEO of Fireworks Advertising. I should have started with that. So in terms of coming up with the agenda, first of all, we had to do research through Reeve Consult, our partners. Charles, if you may just stand for the one last time. For those who didn't see you, yes. So Reeve Consult was able to do the research that provided the foundation for development of the agenda. And at the agency, we have a process that we follow. So of course, a very long process. I may not break it down word for word, but we go into once we've understood the challenge at hand for the stakeholders, we dive deep into that problem, dig out insights, and we use the market insights from the customers to be able to arrive at the solutions that we come up with in terms of either marketing or communication solution. So it is evidence-based communication, it's evidence-based marketing that we are bringing to the fore through the agenda. And after having done, of course, that in the research, we sat and brainstormed ideas. It took us a period of about 2 months to just come up with the ideal idea that we can use to be able to deepen insurance in the country. So once we had done that, of course, we collaborated with the team at UIA, the SteerCo, got input in terms of what we proposed, and continued to refine until when we had the final deck or the final strategy that we are launching today. So it's been an exciting journey, and we continue to pledge our support, Jonan. In fact, we made a pledge of giving you advertising services worth 15 million shillings as some seed from the agency towards the agenda and deepening insurance in our country. Thank you so much. My minute is done.
Thank you very much for a job well done. As I conclude, and I will take exactly 2 minutes. First of all, I think Sunday you alluded to the fact that I think I have an 8-digit salary. Members in the room kept on asking and wondering. In fact, my bosses are on the table with me. They are wondering whether now IRA has taken me, because in as far as they know, that is not the correct position. I also wanted to recognize the presence of the CEO of Tamin, Takaful. Mr. Mohamed Omar, please stand up for recognition. Tamin is a new player in the market, at the tail end of licensing, if I'm not mistaken, but they've already been admitted as members of the Uganda Insurance Association. And of course, once the certificate from IRA is issued, they will then become full members. So provisionally, they're already members of the association. I think what has come out clearly from these discussions is the fact that I think it is time for us to rebuild the image of the industry. And I think the only way we can be able to do this is by cultivating, I think, goodwill within the public, by being transparent and being accountable as the insurance industry. And I think for me, that speaks to the heart of this agenda. But also the second thing that I have listened to carefully here is the aspect of us as insurers being able to change the way we offer insurance. I think we need to go back to the drawing board, and this has been clear from the regulator, from the development partners. We must reimagine and create new ways of offering solutions related to risk management. But above all, I think the other aspect that again relates to that issue is the fact that how do we ensure that insurance coexists with the informal setup, the alternative risk management mechanisms. Is it possible for formal insurance to coexist with informal insurance? And I think that is where the heart of communities, societies is in terms of engagements and in terms of dialoguing. And I think the agenda has also been able to address that aspect. And I think if we are to benchmark on the banking sector, again, we have seen the banks making inroads when it comes to informal mechanisms of saving. And again, they've created a safe space within which these mechanisms can be able to thrive. I think also the other thing that we need to take away from this engagement is the fact that for us as insurers, and I think we will not blame, I don't want to blame anyone. I've been in mainstream before. I understand the pressure that comes with being in mainstream, the top line, the numbers. And of course, we acknowledge the fact that people have been in this room up to this time and have foregone a sale out there. That is a sign of commitment. I think while the rest of the industry is focusing on bringing in the numbers, the purpose of the agenda is to shift the rest of us to literacy and empowerment. So it simply means that, yes, we can continue to pursue, and the agenda, the introduction of the insurance literacy and market development agenda does not mean that the different players cannot have individual initiatives. Those initiatives that are aligned to their strategies, those initiatives that are aligned to the pursuit of top line can continue. But there must be a concerted effort for us to look away from just creating awareness to empowerment. And I think the agenda is focused on empowerment. And if you look critically, the agenda is actually at the heart of consumer protection. Because for the first time, as the insurance industry, we are making a deliberate public to criticize us. Can we go out there and allow the public to ask us the tough questions? Can we be able to create a safe environment where discussions around what we have not done right can be able to take place? And I think for me, that is where the aspect of consumer protection comes in, and that is where the aspect of literacy comes in, because we want to empower the public. We want to empower the future consumers of insurance, even the current consumers of insurance, to ensure that at the end of the day, yes, they have the information that they require to take this forward. Now, the other issue that is also very clear and a key takeaway from here is the aspect of government intervention, that we must work closely with government for us to be able to break through certain barriers, to break through certain spaces. And that is why the convener, and again, the leader for this agenda is the Insurance Regulatory Authority of Uganda. Because we believe there are spaces that we can't get into as players. Government has to be on the table. And government definitely listens to the regulator because it's a government body. So again, we shall continue to work closely with IRA, and I am glad that the director has mentioned that he would want to see this implemented. Now, again, what are the next steps? And I think this is what we've all been waiting for. How do we move on from here? Because I think the major deliverable for the first phase was the delivery of the agenda. The agenda has a clear work plan, implementation plan, monitoring and evaluation framework, but also a proposed budget. So the next steps will include the following. Number one, we would like to be able to come up with a coordination office. Again, we are going to sit at stakeholders that have been behind the development of the agenda, and we shall come up with a coordination office. Because for us to engage the different stakeholders, for us to fund the budget, there must be an office that is responsible. We cannot afford to have the agenda sit under a certain department, either within IRA, within the UIA, or within any of the other partner offices. There must be a concerted effort to ensure that at the end of the day, we implement. Because if we don't implement this agenda, then we would have done a disservice to the different partners. Now, of course, once we create the coordination office, we believe that then we'll move ahead and engage the different partners with whom we worked under the technical working committee so that then we form another committee charged with implementation. Give ourselves a timeline and report periodically. Again, we shall call all the stakeholders and be able to give you an update in terms of what has been accomplished in whatever period that we've been able to accomplish that. So I would want then to call upon all the stakeholders to ensure that at the end of the day, when we reach out to you, again, you join the technical working committee, and in this event, the coordinator. The last thing that we need to do, which probably should have been the first, as you may be aware, this agenda has been financed by Africa Re Foundation. A report has to be written to Africa Re to, number one, give accountability for the funds that we received. And I think that is in the spirit of ensuring that we are transparent as the Uganda Insurers Association, because we received these funds, and be able to give this accountability to our donor, Africa Re. But I was speaking to David, who is the regional manager here in Uganda. And I mentioned that, yes, we are going to give the accountability. We are going to give the report. But please allow us include the ask that since you've handheld us and brought us this far, as we establish the coordination office, please proceed and handhold us and give us that seed capital that would require to take this agenda forward. Now, David has promised that he's going to engage his bosses, and I know in the true African spirit, indeed, Africa Re will come on board. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. Honestly, there are many projects I've been involved in within the insurance industry over the many years that I've been in this industry. I am fully convinced that this bold step we have taken, if indeed we continue in this collaborative spirit, I have no doubt that at the end of 5 years, the challenges and all the highlights that have been given to us by the panel will be managed and will be implemented. And we'll see a different industry come 2030. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. I don't know if I now have the powers to close. Madam, do I have the powers to close the session? I have been given the powers to inform you that we have come to the end of the session. I want to wish you a good rest of the day. God bless you. Sincere apologies. We need to take a group photo. So I humbly request that members join me on stage and we have a group photo. I humbly request. We also have feedback forms you can scan. Kindly give us feedback and let us know how we can be able to take this forward. Please come to the front. ITC principal, we need to capture this moment with you. Please come to the front. Our panelists, please come. This should take about 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Fireworks, please come. Angela, ensure that everyone makes it to the stage. And that means you need to guard the exit. UIA team, please guard the exit point and ensure that you're directing members to the stage and not anywhere else, because we might